Okay, so we're going to talk about whether it's a good idea to repeat or not, and talk about some of the scenarios that go with that. And I will address whatever questions you might have. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question if there's something that comes up that's not clear. That was us really quickly that you saw. I'm actually like 15 pounds lighter than that picture when I took it. So actually more than that, more like 20 pounds lighter. So. Okay, so what happens if you fail a course or if you get a grade you don't like? You have lots of different options. One is you can just eat it and say, that was life, that was me. I don't want to do that again, so I'm just going to forget it and move on with life. Or you could choose to repeat a course. Oftentimes, that is the most prudent decision to make, but not always. So part of what we're going to look at is, when is it a good idea? When is it not a good idea? So go on to the next slide. Okay, so when do you have to repeat a course? If it is a prerequisite for another course you have to take, and the prerequisite is you have to have a C or better, then if you're going to continue with that discipline, you're going to have to repeat it. Okay. If it's a course that you know is required for your major and you're definitely going to stay in that major, you may want to repeat a course. You don't necessarily have to, unless there's a comment that says to work for the major, it has to be a C or better. A lot of times students think that's the case, but it's not always the case. Your major department can let you know, based on their major requirements, do you have to have a C? You only have to have a C average, but a lot of people mistakenly believe I have to have a C at least in every class. You don't. Those are really the two scenarios. Is that clear with everyone? Does anyone have a question about that? And okay, seeing no questions.
Sorry, could you repeat the latter part?
Yeah, a lot of times people think they have to have a C in a course because you have to have a 2.0 in your major to graduate. But it's only if that specific course says so in the major requirements. You could get a D in something if it's not a prerequisite course, or if you just need to earn the credit, you can actually get a D. You're just going to have to get other higher grades to counteract the fact that you had the D. But people mistakenly believe they have to have a C in every course. It really depends on the specifics of your major. Is that clear?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And we could see that like in our major sheet, right?
Yeah, your major sheet should say that. And on the, also when you go on Gold and you use the course info button, when it talks about prerequisites, it says if you have to have a C in a prerequisite course or not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that course info button.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next. So how does it work when you repeat a course? One of the mistakes that sometimes people believe is that it goes away from your transcript. No, once something's on your transcript, it's there forever and ever and ever for anybody to see who's bored enough to actually want to look at your transcript. So it'll stay there. What happens is when you repeat a course, what happens when you repeat it is what counts in your record. So explain two scenarios. Say you got a D. So you repeat the course and you get a B. The B is the only thing that's going to be reflected in your GPA. They can see that you earned a D previously, but only the new grade of B is going to count. But then here's the tricky part. Say you get a D and you repeat it and you get a D minus. now the D minus is in your GPA. It's not the higher of the two grades. It's whatever you get the second time, with one exception, which is listed right below. Can I choose pass, no pass grading option when I retake a course? Depends. If it's a major course and the department will allow you to take it pass, no pass, then yes, it's okay. Because as you know, you probably got the email last quarter that said a lot of majors were letting you take courses pass, no pass, and all that kind of stuff. If that's the case, yes, you can take it. So say you got a D, and then the next time you take it, you choose pass, no pass because the department lets you do it, and you get a pass, then what happens is the D comes out of your GPA, and now you have a pass. However, there is one exception. Say you repeat the D and you get a no pass the second time. That does not replace the grade. The D will stay in your GPA. Okay, so a lot of times people think they're going to be clever and repeat it and get a no pass and get a bad grade out of their GPA. No, doesn't work that way. Sorry. So any questions about that?
No.
Okay, excellent. So to graduate, you got to have a 2.0 in several different areas, mostly dependent upon your major. So basically, everybody has to have a 2.0 overall when you combine all your classes to graduate. Moreover, you need a 2.0 in your major in order to graduate. And even more specifically, you need a 2.0 in your upper division major in order to graduate. Now, as some of you know, some majors have something called a pre-major. So you have to meet the criteria that that department sets for the pre-major. And with many of them, it's much higher than a 2.0. So you have to take that into account. And remember, you can only repeat not passes, C minuses, or lower. You can't repeat anything else. Also, some departments, bio, for instance, which is Lloyd's major, for bio in the prep for the major, you have to have a 2.0 in each of the specific categories. Like all your chem grades have to be 2.0, all your bio grades have to average 2.0, all your math grades has to average 2.0. But that, again, you have to look at the major requirements sheet to see what is specific about that discipline. But those are the categories under which you have to have certain grades in order to graduate. Underneath that, talk about academic probation. There's a couple of different ways that you go on probation, which surprises people a lot. First way is if your cumulative GPA is ever below 2.0, you're on probation until such time as it raises above that. Now, what people don't understand is, regardless of what your cumulative GPA is, if your quarter GPA is ever below 1.5, you're on probation. And depending how low that is, you either are automatically allowed to continue or you have to appeal. And you'll get an email that says, and this freaks people out, so you can tell your friends this so they don't freak out. It says subject to disqualification. But I would say 80% of the time when I talk to a student, they tell me, well, I've been dismissed. I go, no, you haven't. You're subject to disqualification. You got to read the whole email. Maybe that's why you're on probation. You don't read carefully what's going on. I'm kind of a smart ass sometimes, so I apologize for that. I tell them you really need to read carefully to see what it says. And they have to do the appeal, and provided they make a good argument, they're either allowed to stay in school or not. What happens sometimes is you have students, for instance, who have well over 3.0s, and maybe one particular quarter, they only take one class for a grade and they get a D. You know, they think, oh, I have a 3.7 cumulative GPA. Yeah, but their quarter is 1.0, so they're on probation. And they have to do whatever the email says they have to do. And a lot of times they don't do it. And then they're shocked when they get dismissed. Like the third week of the quarter, bam, you're out because you didn't appeal. Then they start freaking out because they didn't pay attention to, if your quarter is ever below 1.5, you're on probation. Is that clear? Does anybody have any questions on that?
No, it's just pretty crazy that bad grades really take you down so like steeply in comparison
Yeah,
to like, good grades.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest, it sucks. Your
Yeah.
grades will drop quickly. They'll rise very slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went through that when I was in CC, like I was in probation and it took me a long time to get back out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ugly, which
But
is why we
when I got
try to
out,
do programs like this and try to get people connected with us, like at ONDAS and EOP and Letters in Science. When we're sending you emails, it's not because we want to jam you up, it's because we want to help you. So, you know, it's not like elementary school where you go to the principal's office when you're in trouble. It's like, no. We're here to help you. We're here trying to help you figure out a way to rectify whatever is going wrong. But a lot of students have that mentality that, oh, I'm in trouble. I don't want to talk to them. That's mistake number 2 after getting your bad grade. Second mistake is not talking to us, because we can oftentimes really lead you down a path that's going to make more sense and help you rectify whatever the situation is. So, but thank you for sharing that. Anybody else about the probation aspect of it? Okay. So what are ways to prevent yourself from getting a bad grade? As you may remember, the dean chose to really loosen the policies about this because of COVID, because of virtual learning, just, you know, what a mess it is right now to be a student. He decided, and we as a department really agreed with him and pushed him to kind of do this, to change the rules a little bit. And the rules for this coming quarter are going to be the same as we did last quarter. So I want to make sure you all understand that. You can drop a course, anybody can drop a course up to the end of the 4th week. You can drop it right on gold. After that, the dean has made things simpler. And the academic senate, which is the group that makes all the rules, they agree. And so they did it for the university. The drop, we have a soft drop policy, which means that once the 4th week is over, you can still ask for a drop and very likely get it if, one, it's not a course that you're repeating and you haven't gotten 3 or 4 drops in the past. You know, this is just like, okay, I screwed up, I'm trying to fix it, will you let me drop a class? Pretty much for any reason that makes sense, we'll let you drop a class. And I really say that very liberally. If it makes any sense whatsoever, we're trying to help you so that you don't get a bad grade. So honestly, last quarter, there was no reason for anybody to get an F in a class. No reason whatsoever. You were able to drop classes up until I think it was the last day of the quarter, is what I think that's what the email said. And some people didn't do it. And I don't understand. So if something happens, talk to us. Letters in Science has a system called QLIS. So if you go to the Letters in Science advising page, you'll see the QLIS phone-in line. Get in the line and talk to one of us about what the situation is in your life and what's preventing you from doing well, and we can talk you through the process. So you'll be able to drop a course. There really isn't a limit as to how many you can have, but if it appears to be a pattern, we're going to have a much longer discussion with you about what's going on and some hard decisions you may have to make. But talk to the advising staff. Talk to your EOP counselor. Even the ONDAS peer mentors can give you some ideas, and they'll probably refer you to somebody like me to talk to about that, or talk to the advisors in letters and science. And we'd be happy to discuss your situation to see if we think we can rectify some of the issues that may be going on by allowing you to drop a course. But don't, just because there's a deadline, don't assume it's impossible to get something, especially in these times where the academic senate and the dean has loosened things up a little bit. So, make sense? Anybody have any questions about that?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you only drop like one class in your?
No, you can drop more.
Okay.
Now, one of the things we would talk about, because again, people make wrong assumptions. It's unbelievable how many assumptions you all have about what's going on that isn't true. They go, well, I'm on financial aid, so I can't drop below 12 units. Wrong. You can. Now, the way financial aid works, it's a year-long strategy. You have to pass 36 units in a year to retain your aid automatically if you do your FAFSA for the next year. It's not based on an individual quarter. So sometimes it's like, okay, maybe it's better for you to drop 1 or 2 classes and then take a heavier load the next quarter and maybe go to summer school to make up for the units that you didn't earn during the regular 3-quarter sequence. So again, talk to us, because we will help you define what's in your own best interest. And obviously you make the call of what you want to do, but we try to talk you through all the various scenarios. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I have office hours listed here that are devoted specifically to ONDAS and EOP students. So you can always get a hold of me. Let me give you all my email. It's very simple. It's Jack Rivas. Oh, forget, we should take the LTSC off. That doesn't need to be there. Remind them. It's Jack Rivas at UCSB.edu. Okay? It's Jack Rivas, not Jay. Jack Rivas at UCSB.edu. You can email me, and I'll give you my cell number, because everybody and their brother has my cell phone number, so I might as well give it to you. It's 805-403-1411. So if you email me or call me and say, hey, can I talk to you next Wednesday between 1 and 4? I'll let you know what's going on and what my schedule is, because lots of students call me and email me, because everybody has my email and phone number. But I can usually get you in within a day or two to speak to any issues that you may have. And please utilize me. That's why I do what I do, because I want to help students get the best possible experience they can here at UCSB. And I've been around a long time, so I got a lot of ways of trying to fix things that other people might not think about. I'm a shifty character, so I might be able to teach you a few tricks that you can get through. Okay.
And,
do you want to speak to that, Laura?
Yeah, and the ONDAS Center is also here for y'all if you ever need some academic advice or personal advice. We have peer mentors as well as the professional staff, and you can find their office hours at ondas.ucsb.edu. And if you scroll down, there'll be like a Google Calendar, and you could just find when the peer mentors or the professional staff is hosting their office hours. And I'm gonna stop sharing, And if you have any questions for Jack or for the peer mentors, this is like the time to ask them. You can put them in the chat or raise your hand.
I have opinions about everything, so don't be afraid to ask.
Jack, I came here. Well, I have a question for you. I wanted to know if I can schedule a meeting with you or something to talk about, I don't know, my course grades, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Schedule a meeting with you.
yeah. So what you want to do, just send me an email at jackrivas at ucsb.edu and give me days and times that you have free.
Mhm.
And then I'll send you an email back saying, wait, here are the days and times that match with what you have. Just tell me when you want to do it.
Okay then.
And we'll get it all set up.
Mhm.
So usually it takes like an email or two to get it coordinated, or a text. You can even send me a text.
Okay then. Send you
And
either or text or email.
yeah, that doesn't make any difference.
Okay then.
You
Thank
should see my texts. I get texts like at 1:30 in the morning, 2:15 in the morning. And I tell the students, come on, you really think I'm going to answer at 2:15 in the morning?
Yeah.
They go, well, that's when I panic and I think about it. And so I text you. They go, and even if you don't answer it, I want it to be the first thing you see in the morning when you get up.
Okay then.
Anybody else? Any other questions about anything related to school?
How does the summer courses work? Like, do we just go and add courses during our pastime, or how does it work?
Yeah, it should open up any day. So you want to go on Gold. And I think the courses are listed now. I think that happened like today or yesterday. And the pastimes should happen soon. So keep checking on Gold to see if it's opened up yet. And then you just go ahead and register. Since you're a continuing student, you just go on Gold and register. But look, because they close right away. So keep looking. Yeah, you've noticed that, Lori?
Oh, I'm not taking summer courses. I was just nodding.
But you noticed that in the past, or did you do it?
Oh, yeah. They get taken up really quickly.
Yeah. Especially all the really good ones.
Do you
What
recommend
else?
taking classes in the summer?
Say that again?
Or do you recommend taking classes in the summer?
I do, because usually if you're a financial aid recipient, you still have money to be able to go to summer school. And since it's going to be remote anyway, it's still ways to keep on progress or catch up if you've got behind, or get ahead, depending what your situation is. Whichever one of those it is, it's a good idea to do it. It's pretty low key, so you don't have to hassle so much. And there's actually 7 summer sessions. There's 2 6-week sessions. There's 4 3-week sessions. And there's 1 10-week session. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. So, and then there's a cap too, that after so many units, you don't pay any more money, which is kind of cool, because then you could really pile on a lot of classes.
What do you mean?
Like, say it used to be, I don't know what it is now, but it used to be once you had 12 units, because you pay by the unit for summer school. It's different than the regular quarter. So let's say the cap was 12. I don't know what it is now. Let's say the cap was 12. You get your 12 units. So any other courses you pile on after that, you don't pay for them. They're free.
What?
Yeah, so you got to check with summer sessions to see if they still have the cap, and if they do, how many units is it? And it's across all the different summer sessions, so they don't have to be in one. You could take 4 units in one, 8 units in another, 4 units in another one.
But you
Yeah.
still can't pass like your 200 limit, right? Or something like that?
Well, okay, I'm glad you asked that question. That's a myth too, because here's the way it works. If you come as a freshman, no matter what, no matter how many units you have, you could have 300. If you graduate within 5 years, we don't care. if you're a transfer student, you have 3 years that you can be here. We don't care how many you have. It's one of those things, don't tell us unless we ask you.
What?
Yes. See how good it is to come to these things? You find out all this juicy information.
That's crazy. Because I was talking to Eric Zimmerman, and he was telling me like, oh, like after 2 years, you know, the school's only gonna pay for 2 years. You can't pass the 200, or you're gonna have to.
Not necessarily. Now, paying is a different issue because that's financial aid. But academically, yeah. But even there, sometimes you can do something. I know people who've been here, transfer students who've been here for 3 years and got some aid. Now, it
Dang,
may be loans instead of grants and free money, but
I'm already getting loans now.
yeah. But then there you go. Just go way in debt. You're going to be rich anyway, and you can pay it off later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You
So
would-
you could just try it, and like, if they don't say anything, then you're saying that you're.
Just keep going.
Wow.
Because at some point, you'll get an email that says, hey, we noticed you haven't declared for graduation and you have this number of units.
Oh, okay.
When are you graduating? And
Got
let's say you get that in a winter quarter and you say, I'm graduating spring. We'll go, okay, we'll just leave you alone. And sometimes we'll say, well, tell us what you're doing. And then you just tell us, and then we go, okay, you can stay.
All right.
Jack, I think Cindy might have a question. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No.
Wait, two. It was one. I wanted to know the majors of your children.
Yeah.
And the other one, it's since I've never taken any since I'm a transfer student and I just transferred in. I don't know how summer works. Do they have classes every single day, like how it was Well, at least
It's usually 4 days a week, if I remember right. And they're a little longer. So it's like hour and a half, 4 days a week.
Oh.
Because they're squashing 10 weeks into 6.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a little faster, but honestly, I found it when, now I'm an old viejito, so I took summer school a long time ago. I found it to be pretty casual. Yeah, it's faster, but I didn't feel stressed at all.
It's kind of it kind of reminds, I thought it was similar to community college because I know they have summer courses for community college and they're only 5 weeks. And it's also 4 times a week. So it was easier, at least personally. So yeah, I just wanted
And a lot of times it's really instructors who like to teach. Otherwise, the rest of them, they just take 3 months off and go party hardy. It's just the people who like to teach and like to work with students, generally speaking, who are teaching in summer school.
The only thing I would mention about summer courses is to be aware of the subject, because for certain subjects, I think it'd be more manageable than others. For me personally, I took a physiology class in 6 weeks, and it was not worth it. I didn't pass. I'm retaking it, and I think it was the I struggled with. So I think maybe reaching out to the professor and asking them about the syllabus before summer session, see how the course is going to be administered. But yeah, I really enjoyed my summer courses, and it was really nice because you could work and take courses. So I'd really recommend them.
Yeah, it's I think generally speaking, students are way too passive. You need to be aggressive about your education. You really, really do. Now, I'm weird, but when I went to UCSB, I think probably 70% of the classes I took, easily 70% of the classes I took, I had already sat in 1 or 2 lectures before I ever took the class. I went to go see what it was about. And it's oh, this is cool. I got to remember this for the next time they offer it so I can take it. I was never walking into a class wondering what it was going to be like. I was very aggressive about my education. I even went and looked at the books for courses I thought I might take in the future. to see what they were reading. Again, I'm a little weird, I admit it, but I was very aggressive about what I was doing with my education because I was paying way too much money to just be frivolous about it. I was very connected to what was going on here. Like I said, I knew what was going to happen in the classes I took before I ever took them.
I wanted to add, like, I wish we could crash courses like right now during, like, just have the little Zoom link and like, oh, how it is. Because
yeah, it's hard now.
Yeah, I tried with one of my professors. I mean, he already knows me, but then again, I kind of feel bad for that. Like, I don't know.
Well, if you know a friend who's in the class, you could always go watch the Zoom with them. I even save money because I'm cheap too. So I even save money by, it used to be, and I think they still do this. It used to be you had to pay a small fee to take a film studies class because of all the movies you have to watch. And so what I would do is I would buy the film studies card and then I'd look up all the film studies classes and I would go watch all the movies that they showed during the quarter. So I'd see like 25 movies during the quarter for, I think it was cheap back then. It was like $10. I saw 25 movies for $10. So, and you know, my wife would come. I was already married when I came to school. My wife would come with me and go watch the movies for the classes we weren't even taking, because all they wanted to do was see that you had the film studies card and they let you in. Anything else anybody have?
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask how many units students usually take during the summer, because like the 12 cap thing sounds really nice and like, you know, I'll save money by taking more units. But
Yeah,
like,
but check and make sure that's still the case. So
yeah, but I also don't want to like overwork myself.
I think most people can handle per session. Most people can handle 2 classes. More than that, I think you're biting off a little too much, maybe, because remember, it's 10 weeks squashed into 6. Most people can handle 2. Taking 2 courses in a session is kind of like being a full-time student during a regular quarter. Would you agree, Lori? Yeah.
Tough, but fun. And then I think Jesus has a question in the chat.
Yeah.
He said, I joined this session because I earned a D for a class last quarter, winter. It was a major elective. Pretty sad about it, so I thought I'd retake it. I reached out to my major advisor. He let me know it might not be offered next year. I'm not sure what to do about it. I still really want to take it because the material is interesting to me.
Ooh, yeah. That's a longer discussion. Yeah, that's kind of a longer discussion. Maybe you could reach out to me and we could have a much longer conversation about that. Okay.
Okay.
You got my contact info?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just get in touch with me. We can have a longer conversation about that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So I know we're a little bit over time, but I really appreciate y'all coming. And like we said before, or like Jack said before, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to him. His email is jackrivas@ucsb.edu or his phone number 805-403-1411. Or you can reach out to the ONDAS Student Center. Stephanie and I are actually peer mentors, so we'll be happy to give you any advice if we have any input. But we really appreciate you coming and hope to see you in the future.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.